I'm going to switch over to Brian and hold on 1 minute here. So I'm going to switch over to Brian, and hopefully he'll be able to make his introductions, and we can get started with the presentation. Hopefully you guys can hear Brian or Brian when you pop up. Just let me know, and you could probably just start talking whenever.
All right.
Like,
Can you see my screen and all hear me well?
perfect.
Awesome. So good afternoon or good morning, everybody, depending on where you are. My name is Brian, as previously stated, and I'm the marketing manager for Contactually, which is the best CRM for professionals in relationship-based businesses. Just wanted to start by thanking you all so much for tuning into the webinar. I know that how valuable your time is, and it really does mean a lot to me that you've been able to carve out an hour for this really great presentation. So a couple of housekeeping items before we begin. Just letting you all know that you are in listen-only mode, which means that you aren't going to be able to interact verbally with me throughout the course of the webinar. That being said, I do want to make this as interactive as possible. So if you do have any questions, feel free to ask them using the questions functionality on your GoToWebinar control panel. And I will either answer them as I'm going throughout the webinar if there's a good place to stop for a break, or I'll save the questions for the end and we can do a little Q&A session. Now, Liam, is this webinar being recorded?
Yes, it is
Liam,
actually
you
being
there?
recorded. It is being recorded. Sorry, I just muted
Okay.
my mic, but I'm
All right.
back.
No problem. Awesome. So as Liam said, the webinar is being recorded, so we'll make sure to send a copy to the webinar to you guys after its completion so that if at any point you want to do so, you can go ahead and rewatch or re-listen to anything. I think that's everything. So without further ado, let's hop into the presentation, and it's called the 4-Step Framework for Staying Relevant with Your Network. And if at any point you want to talk to people over social media, you can do so. You can tag us at Contactually, or you can go ahead and use the hashtag 4Step, which you'll see on the bottom of your screen. So who am I? Like I said, my name is Brian. I'm the marketing manager at Contactually. Prior to Contactually, I was finishing up at Stanford University, one of my favorite places in the world. Take a note of my contact information at the bottom of the screen in case you do want to get in touch with me after the webinar, and I'll show you that information again towards the end of the webinar. And one quick fun fact about me is that I absolutely love to travel. When I was at Stanford, I took a semester and studied abroad in Barcelona and made a good point to go and travel and see as much of Europe and some of Africa as I could. So the picture that you see there is me and one of my best friends on a camel in Morocco. So what are we going to cover today? Today we're going to take a look at the 4-step framework that we've developed to make sure that you're staying relevant with your network and how you can use a next generation CRM to do so. And for those of you who aren't quite familiar, CRM stands for Customer Relationship Management. And you'll find a lot of different CRM tools that can help you achieve this end goal. So before we get started, there's one undisputed fact, and let's just be really clear about that now. The best way that you can stay relevant with the people in your network is to follow up with them on a regular basis. Now, why do you need to follow up with people? First, it's going to help you increase your mind share. And for those of you who are unfamiliar with mind share, we'll delve a little bit more into that specific term in just a bit. But at the core, following up is going to help you generate more potential business opportunities, as well as find those opportunities that are hidden in your network. And it's also going to make sure that you are building stronger and more meaningful relationships with the people that matter. And for the sake of this webinar, when I talk about the people that matter, we're talking about the people that are ultimately going to have a positive effect on your business, the ones that are either going to send you referrals or repeat business, or just really help you get the word out there about the great things that you're doing professionally. So like I said before, let's dive into mindshare a little bit. So Merriam-Webster defines mindshare as a controlling or predominant hold of one's attention that is gained especially by marketing tactics. So the examples that they used is gain mindshare with both media and customers. So to break that down a little bit further, mindshare is just the amount of attention that you're able to capture and maintain with a specific person in your network. And when you have high mindshare levels and you're following up with people on a regular basis, you're going to see that it's going to bring an increase to both your money and your happiness levels. And those are both really great end goals that we can all strive for. So following up keeps you top of mind. And this graph gets a little bit technical, so please bear with me. On the bottom, on the x-axis, you have time, and on the y-axis, you have mindshare. And the solid line that you see going throughout the graph, that's the measurement of mindshare that you have with the particular client. So you'll see that at the first stop point, you have a lunch meeting with a particular client. At that moment, your mindshare is at 100%. You're physically in front of this person, you're at the top of their mind, you're engaging them, you're communicating with them, so it's really easy for them to be thinking about you and keeping in mind all of the great things that you can do. Now, you'll see as time progresses, without further interaction, your mind share is going to decay. So obviously the best way to get your mind share to stop decaying is by following up so that you do escalate that mind share level to stay top of mind. So you'll see at that next stop point, your client's business need has arisen. However, you're not going to hear about that opportunity because your mind share is too low at that point for it to be connected with you because you haven't followed up. And then you'll see the next point, when it comes to time to request a referral from someone, you're still not going to be thought of because your mind share is still too low. However, that next stop point, which you see when your level of mind share skyrockets back up to 100%, that's when you followed up with that person and have requested a meeting. And you'll see in between the meeting request and when you actually meet, your mind share will dip and then go back up. So as you can see, just by requesting meetings, following up with people with great content, actually seeing them in person, that you're going to be able to generate high levels of mind share, which is going to make sure that you capitalize on those opportunities. So if you don't stay top of mind, you're missing both revenue and referral opportunities, and it's going to be a problem for you and for your business down the road. So now I'm going to delve into the 4-step framework to stay top of mind and relevant with your network. And you are going to use this framework in order to send timely, personal, and most of all, relevant follow-ups to your top email and social media contacts. And we're also going to go through a lot of online tools to help make the entire process easier and more automatic for you. Now, one last thing before we start, actually, two last things before we start. Before I delve into the framework, I do like to start with a bit of a disclaimer. We believe in this framework really strongly, so much so that we've actually built capabilities in Contactually that will allow you to execute with all of these different steps in-house. Now, that being said, we did create the framework a year and a half ago, maybe a little bit more, and at that time, we used a lot of other online tools to help us achieve those goals. So throughout this presentation, I'll show you ways that you can use a suite of online tools, a lot of them which are free, in order to help you hit these different milestones, and I'll also show you how to use them in Contactually. And just to recap and rebrief before we begin, Contactually is the best CRM for professionals and relationship-based businesses. At our core, we're all about helping you follow up with the right person at the right time with really great content so that your message is received well by the people in your network and so that you're able to generate referral opportunities. We do that by automatically tracking your communications for you across your email, social media, and phone, which allows us to know exactly when you last spoke to your important contact. Then, based on rules that you've applied to their contact category, for example, follow up with my hot leads every 7 days, my past buyers every 90 days, we can automatically generate intelligent follow-up reminders when we detect that you've gone too long without reaching out to a particular contact on your own accord. So, at the end of the day, we're helping you build strong relationships and making sure that potential opportunities for business don't fall off don't slip through the cracks, along with any relationships that might accompany it. So, but without further ado, let's dive right into that framework now. So step 1 of the follow-up framework is make it personal. Long story short, generic follow-ups suck. If you get a follow-up that looks like it went out to 1,000 different people, chances are you're not going to interact with that particular message, and the same goes for the people in your network. So you need to find ways to differentiate your messaging. There are a bunch of ways to make your follow-ups personal and relevant. For people that you have a more personal relationship with, I'd recommend starting with major life events like birthdays, children's anniversaries, holidays, and vacations. For people with whom you have a predominantly professional relationship, I would tend to stick to those professional events like job changes or promotions, or any news that you find about their company. So, what are the best ways to incorporate these kinds of topics into follow-ups? We recommend using a couple of different tools, which you see on your screen now, Newsly, Inside View, and Contactually. So let's start with Newsly. Newsly is a great tool that tracks people in the news. It starts by finding articles about you, your friends and colleagues, and anyone else that you care about, and notifies you very soon after they're published. You start by connecting your Facebook and LinkedIn accounts so that Newsly can monitor the news for the mentions of any of your social connections. And you can also follow, for example, celebrities, politicians, CEOs, and other people that interest you. Once all of your people are in your Newsly account, Newsly is going to continuously comb the web for every publicly indexed news article and blog post about that person. Then, when it finds something that mentions your contacts or the people that you've indicated are of interest to you, it'll notify you in a nicely formatted digest email. Once you receive the email, as you can see, Newsly makes it really easy for you to quickly share the content with the people in your network over email and over social networks. And you can do that by quickly clicking one of the buttons that you see on your screen and making sure that that contact knows that you have taken the time to figure out what's going on in their lives on the web. So all in all, it's a really novel and great way to stay in touch with the people that you know in a timely and relevant manner. On to the next tool. So the next tool is called Inside View, and it's a really powerful tool that gathers real-time social and business sales intelligence from over 25,000 news sources. It'll give you some really valuable insight on competitors and companies, which is particularly useful for two things. One, with communicating with the people in your network about their career, as well as for just monitoring your competitors. So you can use this tool for a variety of things. Inside View will provide you with almost everything that you need to know about a particular company. So you'll see that when I pull up this record for Salesforce, it'll show me that it's a public company, it's revenue numbers, number of employees, industry, so on and so forth. And once the service compiles all of that information, it'll compile it into a report, which it can then deliver to you or your sales rep via email or on their mobile device. And the really nice thing is that all of these features are included with Inside View's free plan, and I really do think that the free plan is more than enough for the average user. However, if you do want to delve a little bit deeper and get access to things like more detailed contact data, CRM synchronization, list building, and premium training and support, then you'll need to upgrade to the free plan. But long story short, I would definitely recommend checking out Inside View's free version first in order to generate really poignant data about your contacts' companies or about any competitors that you might have in the field. So there are also a lot of other ways to gather and save information about your contacts. In Contactually, what you're looking at right now are different screenshots from different people's contact profiles. On the left-hand side of the screen, you'll see a social activity feed. That social activity feed contains updates that your contact has posted on Facebook, LinkedIn, and Twitter. And it's a really great practice before you follow up with one of the people in your network to look at what they've been talking and discussing on social networking, because that indicates that if you talk about them with that particular subject, then it's going to be relevant at that particular moment. Because as we all know, social media is a really great real-time media source. So make sure to look at your contact social media updates before following up in order to make them more personal. And then once you have extra contact data on hand, like their location or their spouse's name, you can go ahead and create custom fields in Contactually in order to save that unique contact data to their profile so that you can reference it at any point moving forward. The last thing that I'll cover is tags. So tags are really great for grouping contacts together by interests, and Contactually will actually go ahead and pull in your contacts' Facebook interests and create tags based on the most popular interests. So you can go ahead and take a look at their tags. A lot of those tags well, all of those tags, either you will have manually inputted or we'll have pulled it directly from their social media profiles for you. And just a really great way to group contacts together by things that they might like hearing about down the road. One word of caution when you're communicating with your contacts about personal things is to not be creepy. In this day and age, it's so easy for us to find out a ton of information about our contacts, regardless of what our relationship is. So like I was alluding to before, if you have a primarily professional relationship with someone, it might be a little bit out of line to talk about the recent family vacation that they took with their children. It's best to stick to professionally related events and endeavors just to make sure that you're not, overstepping your bounds and encroaching on their personal space. Step 2, deliver value through content. So I'm sure at this point you've heard by now that good content is king. And it's a huge part of what I do as an inbound marketer. I rely so strongly on content in order to generate business and generate general brand awareness about Contactually and the relationship building activities that we strive to do. However, regardless of whether the content is good or not, you need to make sure that that content is relevant. You need to keep it related to your contact's interests, hobbies, and company. And even if it is relevant content, it has to be high quality content that they're going to appreciate receiving. So before you send out something, just do a quick check. A, is it going to be relevant to this person? Is it going to hit on their professional interests, their needs, their personal hobbies? And is it high quality content? Is it from a reputable source? Is it engaging? Does it shed a new light on something? Is it original? So on and so forth. And as you can see, this cat is really stoked because he's just received a piece of content that is relevant to his interests. So how are we going to do this? We're going to take a look at two tools right now. One is called Content Gems and another is called Delicious. So Content Gems is an online service that helps you find, curate, and share engaging content with the people in your network. Content Gems will help you build your brand's thought leadership by curating content from over 30,000 sources, including Twitter, blogs, news sites, Google alerts, and more. It'll then help you curate the best articles based on lists that you'll create based on your interests as well as those of your friends and colleagues. Then it'll help you also streamline social media sharing on sites like Facebook, Twitter, WordPress, LinkedIn, and more. Really anything that you can connect via an API. The really nice thing about Content Gems is that all of it takes place in real time. So your contacts are always going to receive the newest, most relevant, and most popular information about the contacts that you're searching for. So if you're looking for the most up-to-date information, definitely use Content Gems in order to find that information. And you'll see on my screen now, we have a list of interests on the left-hand side of the screen and all the different news sources that Content Gems was able to find for that particular source. The really nice thing is that once you have all of these articles, you can even show things like click-through analytics, so you'll know which pieces of content were well received, so that you can duplicate your efforts moving forward. And again, a really great way to figure out what your contacts are interested in is to check their social media profiles and interests, and make a note of those interests on their contact profile in your CRM, so that you don't have to manually check and search for it every time. The next tool that we're going to talk about is called Delicious, and it's a really popular social bookmarking site, which you may or may not have heard of. It is definitely one of the more popular ones out there. Delicious helps you discover, remember, and showcase your passions from across the web. What you can do is whenever you find an interesting link, you can add it to Delicious so that you never lose track of your findings, and you can also browse links that the greater Delicious community has curated in order to easily find content that you care about. Then you can organize your link collection and share it with the people that care about that topic as well. So if you're wondering how Content Gems and Delicious differ, like I said, Content Gems is always going to find the most up-to-date content in real time for that particular topic, whereas Delicious will show you the most heavily referenced and linked to content about over a longer period of time, which makes it the best piece of content, arguably, for a given topic, regardless of how long it's been around or who's sharing it at that moment. So if you're looking for really high quality, really popular content, go with Delicious. If you're looking for things that are more relevant when it comes to time, definitely check Content Gems first. But both of these are really great tools. I wouldn't limit yourself to one of them. You can use them in conjunction with one another, and definitely think that you will enjoy finding content on both of those. So you can see here that over here we did a quick search for startup, and that'll bring up the most popular articles about startups on the web. Once you have content in hand, you can actually use Contactually to store all of that content in your CRM and then easily distribute it to the people in your network. You'll see on the left-hand side of my screen that I have a screenshot, and I've boxed in an Add to Contactually button, which I added to my browser. It's stored right under the URL bar. So anytime I come across a piece of interesting or original content, whether it's a news article, recipe, open house announcement, job posting, anything with URL, I can add that piece of content to my Contactually account by clicking that button. Contactually will save the content URL, the page title, as well as a brief description, which you can automatically include in that by highlighting a piece of a specific string of text in that content. Then you'll go ahead and click Save to Contactually. And then after you do that, when you're following up with a particular contact, you'll see the Add Content link under the subject line. And you'll be able to select a piece of content. And when you do that, it'll insert the link into a templated message that says, when I saw this article, I immediately thought of you. Have you seen it? Here's the link. What do you think? So as you can see, it's a really great networking practice as a standalone practice because you're showing your contacts that you've taken the time to think about their interests, are really remembering them over longer periods of time, are taking the time and the effort to share content that's going to be relevant and interesting to those people, and further instigates a conversation by asking if that person has seen it and asking what he or she thinks. Now, like I said, this is a really great networking practice as a standalone practice, but you can also use it as a segue into something a little bit more directly related to business. So on to step 3 of the framework. Now we're going to deliver value through our network. The best way to add value to your network is by introducing like-minded people. Much like content, people want intros to other people that are relevant. So when you're making these introductions, you're going to have to make sure that they're mutually beneficial to both parties, so that they can actually go ahead and start building that relationship moving forward. So how do we make sure that we're making mutually beneficial and relevant introductions? We're going to match people with the same topics that we've used in step 2. So like I highlighted before, we're going to use tags in order to record our contacts' interests and group them together accordingly. You can manually add your tags by clicking the green Edit Tag button, and Contactually will also go ahead and import tags from your contacts' social media profiles like Facebook. Once you have your tags lined up and you've started tagging people, you can use you can just click on the tag on a particular contact profile or search for it in that top navigation bar in order to access all of the different people that have been tagged with that particular tag. So in this case, if I wanted to go ahead and introduce 2 of these contacts, I would go ahead and check 2 of the boxes next to their name and then click the message icon. Once I'm there, the follow-up modal will appear, as you can see on your screen now, and then under the subject line, I'll click Make Intro, and I'll type the name of the second person to whom I'd like to make the introduction. Then Contactually will prompt me to type in why each of these contacts are relevant to each other. And the really nice thing about our intro maker tool is that Contactually will actually save the descriptions that you've inputted so that if you're making subsequent introductions for these people down the line, that you're not going to have to duplicate your efforts and type that description over again. Of course, if you need to tweak the description in order to increase the relevancy of the introduction, you're more than free to do so. So after you've typed in your description, you'll see that Contactually drops your descriptions along with each contact's contact information into a message so that your contacts can go ahead and take that interaction from there. So Intro Maker makes it really easy to quickly introduce like-minded people. And you'll see that as you start introducing people, provided that these introductions are relevant and that they're actually able to build a relationship out of them, that a lot of your contacts will start making introductions for you and introducing you to people that could benefit from your professional services, or that could work for you, or that could, simply become a friendship if you wanted to go grab a cup of coffee or a drink with someone. All right, now we are at the fourth and final step of the framework, which is systematize. Wash, rinse, and repeat. So at the end of the day, managing a follow-up system manually is a really hard thing to do. There are a lot of different products and sites that will at least claim to help you meet these different goals. Getting started with a new CRM and trying to incorporate 1,000 different tools at once is a very time-consuming process. And if you're doing everything manually, people are probably still going to slip through the cracks. So you're going to need to use automated tools to systematize the process to make it easier. And for this, we recommend a combination of Boomerang for Gmail and Contactually. So Boomerang is a great plugin for Gmail that will help you manage your inbox. It'll help you manage your outbox by delaying sends. For example, you'll see on the left-hand side of my screen, you can send a message later by doing it in a set number of days. But where Boomerang's true value is in the Boomerang button. So Boomerang will help you keep a nice and tidy inbox by hiding messages from your inbox until you decide they need to be there down the road. So if you click that inbox, it's going to remove the message from your inbox, and then you'll be able to specify the time at which you'd like it to return. You can choose one of their pre-designated time intervals, which you'll see towards the top, or you can select a specific date and time. Now, what I really like about the Boomerang button is what you'll see at the top of the screen, only if nobody responds. So if you receive a message and you go ahead and shoot them a message back and you know that it's going to require a next step, you can go ahead and temporarily hide that message from your inbox using the Boomerang button. Then if you click only if nobody responds, Boomerang will only bring that message back to your inbox if you don't get a response. So if someone does respond, obviously Gmail or whatever, obviously Gmail is going to go ahead and bring that message back into your inbox as an unread message. But if no one responds, then Boomerang will shoot it to the top of your inbox at the time that you specify so that you can remember to follow up with that person again moving forward. So it's really going to help make sure that you're keeping a nice and tidy inbox and that your messages are being read and that your contacts are also responding to them. And then you can also use Contactually in order to systematize the process. And this is particularly useful when it comes to following up with people at the right time. So as I highlighted before, Contactually is going to help you follow up with the right person at the right time with great content. Because we directly connect to your email, social media, and phone profiles, we know exactly when you last spoke to your important contacts. And then based on rules that you've set for those contacts, like follow up with my social media influencers every 30 days, we can generate these automatic follow-up reminders for you so that you are indeed getting in touch with the right person at the right time. When you are following up, there's a lot that we have helped with in order to systematize the process, like that article sharing feature and the intro maker that I showed you before, as well as email templates, which will help to automatically personalize your most relevant messages for your contacts. So you really do need a system in place in order to generate opportunities for your business from your network, and without it, your contacts and those potential opportunities are really going to slip through the cracks. So as you can see, we're all about helping you build strong relationships in order to create additional opportunities. So let's quickly recap on that framework. One, we're going to find personal opportunities to reconnect. And as far as tools go, we're going to use Newsly, Inside View, and Contactually. Step 2, deliver value through content. And as far as tools go, we're going to use Content Gems and Delicious. Step 3, we're going to deliver value through your network using Contactually's Intro Maker tool. And then we're going to systematize the process for the long run. Now, I have a quick bonus round for you. And this is a set of tools that I'm particularly excited about it. Our Chief of Operations and one of Contactually's co-founders, Tony, actually came up with this in-house by himself. And it's a really cool feature which has saved me a lot of time and money when it comes to finding and contacting my LinkedIn connections over email without having to spend money. So as I'm sure you know, LinkedIn does charge users. They allow you to upgrade to a premium plan, which allows you uh, increased access to people's contact profiles and contact data, including email address. So we're going to use a plugin for Gmail called Reportive, as well as a little Reportive lead spreadsheet that Tony created, the Excel wizard that he is, in order to get these contacts' email addresses without having to pay extra. So Reportive is a great tool that's going to show you rich contact profiles right inside of Gmail. And it's going to show you them right next to the message body when you're composing a message. It'll go ahead and find your contacts' Reportive profiles based on the email address that you input. So provided that the email address is valid, as you can see, for Rahul, it'll pull up his name, his profile picture, his job title and company, updates that he's made on Twitter, links to his Facebook, LinkedIn, and Skype profiles, and even more. Now, keep in mind that we're only going to be able to show these profiles for contacts who have connected their email address that you're communicating with their social media profiles. So once you have someone from LinkedIn that you want to get in touch with, and the example that we use here is Jeff Weiner, he's the CEO of LinkedIn, you can type the person's first name, last name, and domain into the spreadsheet. Now, just a quick side note, you can access this spreadsheet by going to bit.ly/reportiveleads. But in order to actually use the spreadsheet, you're going to need to save your own copy to your Google Drive by clicking File and Save As. And that'll allow you to change the fields for the different people that you'd like to get in touch with. So once you've saved your own Reportive Leads spreadsheet, you'll type in the first and the last name of the person that you want to get in touch with, as well as their domain. Then the spreadsheet will automatically generate all of the most popular email address combinations that we've seen, like first name, first dot last name, first initial last name, at whatever domain you've chosen. So then what you'll do is you'll copy and paste that entire list of email addresses into the Gmail Compose window. Then you'll use your cursor to hover over each email address. And for the email addresses that are not correct, your contacts profiles won't appear. It'll just show as blank. However, you'll know that you've stumbled upon the correct email address for one of your LinkedIn contacts when Reportive shows you the comprehensive contact profile, which you can see for Jeff on the right-hand side of the screen. So you'll see that his email address, jweiner@linkedin.com, has a blue border around it, meaning that my cursor was over it, it was selected, and then you can see the contact profile to the right-hand side of the screen. So definitely a really cool, fun workaround for getting in touch with your LinkedIn contacts. That brings me to the end of the presentation. So just did wanted to remind you that I am monitoring the Q&A on your GoToWebinar control panel. If there is anything that you'd like further explained or clarified, I'd be more than happy to answer any questions that you have at this time. But as far as next steps goes, I definitely encourage all of you to sign up for a free 30-day trial of Contactually to see if it's going to be a good tool for you and your business to help you stay in touch with the most important people in your network. You can do that by signing up at contactually.com/trial. And then at the end of your 30-day free trial, if you do end up upgrading to our premium or small business plans, you can use the coupon code FWW to save 20% on your first paid month of Contactually. And if you're not ready to, bite the bullet and dive right into that trial yet, then, no worries at all. But I would like to point you to our training website at training.contactually.com. We have a ton of really great resources there for you, like ebooks, white papers, a 20-minute on-demand video demonstration so you can really see the platform in action, and just a lot of tools to help you with your general relationship building practices as well as get you better informed about the product. So if you do have any questions, again, I am monitoring that Q&A on GoToWebinar's control panel, and you can feel free to follow up with me at any time by shooting me an email at brian@contactually.com. So Liam, that
Thanks a
concludes
lot,
my
Brian.
presentation. Absolutely. Thanks so much for having me. It was a real treat being here, and would like to thank the audience again for taking the time to tune in.
I actually have one question. So a couple questions actually, because I use Contactually. I've used it for about 6 months, and maybe longer than that. And I don't even half the stuff you had in here I wasn't even aware of, which is fantastic. So this is incredibly useful for me as a user of Contactually. There's a lot of things that I'll be able to use as sort of action-oriented items for me. But the biggest one actually that jumped out at me was your bonus round, the LinkedIn hack. So we actually pay for that. We have, I think, 3 or 4 accounts that we pay. I think it's $50 or $100 a month to be able to send or to send emails. I think they call them LinkedIn emails or whatever the heck they're
InMail,
called.
I think it's called.
InMail, that's it. Yeah. So we use that service, and that's great. But one way that I actually used to do this is if I wanted to contact somebody that I couldn't actually contact in, they were way too important, or I just couldn't get access to them. What I would usually do is I would take all of their email addresses, and I would put everything that I thought could possibly be their email. So, it would be Brian.Pessin at contactually.com, Brian at contactually.com, Brian.P at contactually.com, B.Pessin at contactually.com. And I'd put it all into the BCC section of an email. And I would send that out because I know that there would probably only be one that would go off and be a BCC. And I would hope that they wouldn't actually know that I was sending it through the BCC, because sometimes people don't actually check that. And that's
Yeah,
usually the way,
definitely.
yeah, that's the way that's what I used to hustle people that, really wouldn't give me the time of day earlier on. And this is so much better to be able to just, because I use Reportive as well, and to literally just hover over each person can get you that email address. And particularly when you're dealing with people that, don't necessarily want to give out their email address, that's a
Hmm.
great technique to just get access to those people that you wouldn't have otherwise gotten access to. Really impressed by that.
Awesome. I'll definitely pass that on to Tony. I mean, I know that he's been able to use it for a lot of different prospecting purposes and just general, networking. And, now you can take that previously manual process and automate it a little bit more. So hopefully
Mm-hmm.
it'll save you a little bit of time and you'll enjoy that moving forward.
So one other question that I have is, I personally use the software to just basically stay in touch with people. So I get easily about 100 emails that come in per day, and Contactually integrates with my business Gmail, so that Contactually can very clearly tell me, you need to email 7 people, or you're
Hmm.
going to not be in, they're not going to be able to stay in contact, or you're not going to be able to stay in contact with them as relevantly if you don't email these 7 people today or this week. So that's the primary use case that I've had for Contactually, and I've been getting fantastic value out of that. For me, that's using it, and I understand now, I'm probably using it at a base level at this point, based off of all the other things that you can do with Contactually. What would be the next step that you would suggest that I use the software for, in really trying to get in contact with partners in a bigger way? Because I fundamentally use Contactually to contact partners, and then,
Hmm.
as I said before at the beginning of this presentation, for individual customers, I usually use Intercom for LARP, but that's basically only if you run a SaaS business. Most of our customers don't usually do that, or people that are on the call right now usually don't do that. So um, I'm just wondering, what do you think is the next most effective feature set that I could start to implement to really start to see more engagement from the emails that I'm sending out?
Sure. So I definitely think that your use case is the primary use case for Contactually across the board. Because, inherently, it's just that's what you really need to do in order to build strong relationships. If you're looking to take your engagement to the next level, I would recommend checking out our programs feature. So our programs feature is our take on a drip campaign, and we make it a little bit more interactive, and hold you a bit more accountable for the things that you're sending out.
Hmm.
So I will caution, people know when they're on a drip campaign for the most part because they're getting very, impersonal emails that it's clear have been blasted to several people. But with our programs, we allow you to do a variety of different things in order to engage your contacts. So you can simply send templated messages. And the really nice thing about our email templates is that we automatically personalize the message content for you, thanks to what are called dynamic fields. And those fields will pull specific points of contact data from that person's contact profile and drop it into the templated message. So you could create a template that says, hey, first name, we haven't spoken since month that we last spoke, how's your job at company? And then once you select the recipient, it'll automatically fill in all of that information for you. So you can send templated emails. You can also do other things like add or follow someone on social media. Simply get reminded to follow up with them. So maybe you want to go ahead and pick up the phone and give them a call. You can add them from one program to another. You can move them from one bucket to another. You can generate a task or an action item that you have at hand for that particular contact. But where I think we really, provide you with additional accountability is that you can choose for these steps to execute automatically, as your traditional drip email campaign would do, or you can require your approval, and that's what I would definitely recommend doing. When you require the programs, when you require your approval for the programs, you'll see a bunch of action items on your dashboard every day. So in addition to the automatic follow-up reminders that will generate for you, you'll also see things like send the just following up template to Liam, and then I would just go ahead and click approve. So that way I know exactly what message is going out to what person at what time. So if you were to pick up the phone and call me and say, "Hey Brian, I just got your email about XYZ," or even worse, "I just got your email, would love to talk about it." You're not sitting there saying, I'm not sitting there saying, "Okay, who is Liam? What email did I send him?
Right.
And what does he want to talk about with me?"
Right.
So just a really nice way to make sure that you're that you're always getting in touch with the people that you need to do, and are really holding yourself accountable for doing that.
Cool. I'm just going to answer this question that JC had. So the recording, I'll make this available. I'm basically just going to clean it up, and then I'll put it up onto the blog, and then you guys can check it out at that point. And I think we'll be setting that up later. I think you've got a couple other questions in here, Alan, or Brian, so I'll let you answer those. And thanks a lot for being on the call. I really appreciate it. I personally got a lot of value out of this, and
So glad to
when
hear
I'm
it.
happy, I think, well, to a degree, I don't really care if anyone else is happy. If I enjoy it, I guess I can make my own decisions. But I hope that everyone else got value out of the call as well.
Yeah, me too. So I actually can't see any of the questions. So would you
Oh, you
mind shooting
can't.
a couple of them? Yeah,
Okay,
I don't
sorry
know
about
why,
that.
but I usually
That's
can.
okay. Yeah, maybe I screwed up on that. Okay, so we're getting a question here from Alan. Am I seeing this as a mail merge on steroids to personalize my emails?
I guess you could think about it that way. I mean, we don't do so much with mail merge in particular, but when it comes to getting in touch with people over the web electronically, then yes, definitely. And that's what we figured out is really the secret to referral generation is the ability to follow up with your network personally with relevant content at scale. So yeah, definitely, supercharging your networking efforts would be a good way to phrase that.
Um, cool. Okay, so number one, if anyone else has any other questions, please go ahead and just ask them. So JC here actually has two questions: the recording, and then when's the next webinar? We usually do these monthly, so you'll be able to see them in your inbox on a monthly basis, and it's usually just people that I do webinars with that I find interesting. So the next one will be quite interesting. Actually, it will be with one of the guys who runs a company called Perch.co. I don't know if you've heard of them, Brian, but they
I have
actually
not.
build you can put up a tablet on your wall, and it will have a continuous live feed of another office, and it's always on mute. And then this is the coolest part: when you look at it, it will actually unmute. So it's almost like a window, but it could be 10,000 miles away. And it's just to
That's
really
pretty
help
cool.
with remote team management. So they're a brand new company. I think they're super cool. They actually have a product that's coming out very soon that literally they're if you buy an entire year, you get the tablets for free because you've got you have Android tablets now that are just literally coming out for like $20. It's so cool, the technology that's coming out. But let me just jump onto the other questions here. Okay, so Carlos has to go. I'll see you later, Carlos. Got another one here. Is there any way someone else could find out if you use it? This is actually really interesting, a really interesting question, because you want to be able to appear, well, you always want to be legitimate. And whenever I send out, as an example, when I send out a message through intercom, um, I think everyone knows that it is a canned response, right? It's based off of, we're trying intercom, and apps like Contactually allow you to go a little bit further, in the sense that you're not going to get that email just because you're on that email list. You're going to get that email because you did something specific. So you emailed them back, or you've put more users in your account, or you haven't really been in contact with that person, or maybe they emailed you. This is, I think, the next evolution of customer relationship management, and really combining who you email with managing not just customers, but just basically managing the different human beings in your network. But um, it's an interesting question, which is, can people actually find out if you use it? I don't think you can find out if you use it, because I think it's just a general email that's sent out, if that's correct, Brian. But um, it's one of those things that, for me, if someone did find that out, they would say, "Oh, well, I thought I was interacting with you like a real human being for the past 3 or 4 months, and now I know that it was just software that was, that was creating this interaction." They might feel somewhat angry about that.
Yeah, so most of the time when you're sending messages from Contactually, particularly if you're just sending one-to-one messages, we're always going to try our best to use your own email server. And if you have an IMAP or an Exchange server, or you use Gmail, it's usually very easy for us to do that. Now we're in the process right now of switching away from using our own email server with our scale mail feature, and that's a bulk messaging feature. So right now we do use Contactually servers in order to send those messages. It'll still come from your email address, but next to it, it'll say sent via email.contactually.com. And that's actually a pretty common thing that you'll see in Gmail. If if you're like, for example, when I went to Stanford, I imported all of my Stanford email into my Gmail, and used that as my primary email interface. But when I sent an email from my Stanford address, it would say sent via gmail.com next to it.
Mm,
So that's
okay.
the only way that people would know. But we are in the process of figuring out how to make it so that we can send bulk messages from your email server to alleviate concerns with that problem.
I've got another question here from JC, which I think is more sort of business oriented, but I'll ask it anyway. Brian, do you have a referral program set up yet? This is from JC.
Program, as in
Like
the
a
program
referral
that I was talking about.
program, an affiliate program. I think what he means by referral program,
Okay.
like an affiliate program.
Yep. So we do have an affiliate program. You can go ahead and find out more details about that at contactually.com/partners. And I'm actually going to be, one of my big focuses for the next couple of months is going to be putting a more established affiliate program in place. So be on the lookout for that as well. But if you're looking to get started with it now, contactually.com/partners, and you'll find information in the application there.
That's one of the big challenges is, some people go the affiliate route, and this is kind of a secondary um, secondary issue, but we've found for us, referral marketing and affiliate marketing can be incredibly useful, but it's just letting in the right people, which is the big issue. We're working on that as well. We haven't actually put together any type of referral or affiliate program, but it's just making sure that it's communicated in the right way, which is so important. So does anyone else have any other
Definitely.
questions other than the ones that have been asked now? Hopefully, I think everything got asked. But oh, one more question. Um, Another question if you want. Oh, one is popping up. So if anyone else has any other questions, please ask it. Do you have to give Oh, do you have to give your username and password to Gmail? I'm guessing
Yeah,
that's basically meaning like, do you have to give over your username information, your password information to Contactually? And is there any conflict? Is there any issue? Like, some people may not actually want to give that information to a third party.
right. So you really do need to directly connect your email addresses to Contactually in order to get the most value out of the platform. Now with Gmail, we actually just will directly connect. So you'll click a button authorizing Contactually to access your Gmail and your Google contacts. It's a pretty similar process if you're familiar, when you sign up with Airbnb or something, and they want you to sign up using your Facebook account. So you'll go ahead and you'll sign up for Contactually using your Gmail account. By establishing that secure connection, there's no way that our service will ever be able to actually see your password because it's very encrypted. At the end of the day, our business is building relationships, and we realize that your contacts are your gold mine. So there's not like we can't or would ever do anything to jeopardize that. And if you want to learn a little bit more about our privacy and security policy, you can access that on our website.
Cool. All right. Well, thanks a lot, Brian. It's been great having you on. I learned a lot. I hope that everyone else learned a lot as well. And I'll have this recording up in the next few days. And, if anyone wants to get in contact with us, it's liam@timedoctor.com, liam@staff.com. More than happy to chat. And, also, too, I'm sure that Brian is more than happy to chat. So just send him an email. I see that. Is this your actual personal phone number, Brian? Or is this is
It
the business
is.
one, right? Oh, that's crazy.
Nope.
Okay, so good luck with that. Um, I think that that's personally insane, but I guess if you're working for a CRM company, you're all about really, making it easy to be able to get in contact with you. So
Yep,
that's
definitely. And
cool.
people
Harass
haven't abused the
Brian,
privilege.
yeah, harass Brian over his cell. I think that'd be great. That'd be
Over
fantastic.
email would be better, but if you really need to,
Okay,
you can go ahead and get in touch with me there too.
right. Well, thanks a lot, Brian, and
Yep, thank you again.
thank you. Bye bye.
Take care.